Welcome to FCYC Mic'd Up, brought to you by the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council. Here, we amplify youth voices, share stories of leadership and service, and connect generations through conversations that strengthen our community. Today, we reflect on the journey of our past FCYC members. We look back at how they started, some unsure, some quiet, some still discovering their voice, but all willing to step forward and serve. Through FCYC, they learn leadership, responsibility, confidence, and the power of using their voice for change. Now, we look at where they are today. They are professionals, leaders, mentors, and change makers in their communities. Their paths may be different, but their foundation is the same. FCYC helped shape who they became. Their stories remind us where you start does not determine where you finish. What you build here matters. The friendships, lessons, service, and growth don't disappear. They carry forward. Today is about bringing the past and present together, honoring those who paved the way and inspiring those who are walking the path now. FCYC is more than a council, it's a legacy, a family, and a launch pad for purpose. Let this reflection inspire us to stay connected, stay committed, and continue building something bigger than ourselves together. Let's start with a quick introduction. What year did you graduate from high school, and what's one thing you've done since graduating that you're really proud of or excited to share?
My name is Dakari Davis. I graduated from Pine Forest High School in 2017. One thing that I was able to do after high school that I'm really proud of is I did some work in prisons where we did prison circles where we would come in each week with different topics and prompts to talk with everyone about to try and facilitate growth and fixing the harm that was caused to the community from those actions.
That's great. Thank you for your service in our community.
All right. I graduated 2018 from Pine Forest High School. I was the vice chair of the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council. And my name is James Thomas. And one thing I did outside of the youth council, and once I graduated high school, I went to North Carolina A&T, and I was elected freshman class president. And that was something that I chose to bring up in this situation because it was my first time taking what I learned from the youth council and applying it into real life, and being able to do that, given the guidance, the blueprint, I was able to win that campaign and then do a lot more work in my community.
Hello, I am Harmony Granderson. I graduated from Jack Brett High School in 2019, and one of the things that I did post FCYC was I also went to North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University, and there I was able to use my experience in the marketing space for FCYC and use it as freshman class historian. So basically being able to take the graphic design, the organizing, all of those skills all in one to be able to capture what was going on at the school, and then, from time on.
Thank you guys for all sharing that. It's really great to hear how you were able to harness all the skills that you cultivated in FCYC and were able to use those in more professional and official spaces in the future.
So since you guys were able to take these abilities that you learned from FCYC, how did you first hear about the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council, and what made you decide to join?
Yeah, so I learned about the youth council at Pine Forest High School. They made an announcement over the intercom, and when I was in middle school and high school, anyone that knows me at all knows that me and my best friend Josh Jensen, we did everything together. So it was a mutual decision that one of us was going to do it, both of us were going to do it, so we were going to do it all the way fullest through. So as soon as we heard about it, it was something we wanted to do.
As for me, kind of similar to the car, I didn't hear over intercom, but more so word of mouth. My best friend Jordan Claiborne, I started off in the CIT program when I was 13, and that was the counselor and training program, and that was led by Miss Crystal Glover, and she was also the lead of the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council. So throughout the program from 13 to 16, she was kind of bedding me and giving me the steps. And when I turned 16, she was like, hey, how about you join the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council? And then my friend Jordan Claiborne, he was also a member of the youth council as well, so he told me a lot more information about it and what the experience was for him actually being a member, and I decided to join.
For me, my story was a little different. I was a participant of the Cliffdale Parks and Rec summer program. I also was in the trios Upper Bound Math and Science at Fayetteville State University, and actually I was a troubled kid, and FCYC was a place that I not only had to go to, but was basically told that it would be a great opportunity for me to learn how to be a good member of society, and it changed my life for the better, for sure.
So from the sounds of it, FCYC is a great place to come with your friends or make new friends, right?
Yes.
That's great to hear.
I actually really find that incredibly impactful, especially because valedictorians in freshman class, I feel like that's incredibly important that you learn that from FCYC, especially from like coming from like a background like that and having like trouble kids and stuff. I feel like it's incredibly important to join places like this where you can learn different experiences, especially in our type of community. I think a place like FCYC is incredibly important. So speaking of that, if you could take us back, just what was it like in FCYC when you remember? Like what kind of projects and events and initiatives were you kind of involved in?
I could go first. One specific thing that I enjoy doing, well, two things. The Got Your Back program, that was one of my first things leading with my team, and we had the FCYC building at the time, and we came and they brought the school supplies, and we basically had an assembly line going, just packing the supplies with notebooks, crayons, pencils, things that the kids need. And then we had a event at Festival Park where we passed all those out, and then we had some college students come help out. It was a great event. And then the other thing was the 5K Glow Run. That was more on the fun side, so that was the time we could really organize, event coordinate, talk to vendors, and then once the event came to, we was interacting with the people, having a good time. I was hosting on the mic, we was dancing, doing Cupid Shuffle, all that. So it was just a good time, and it's just something that I cherish when I think about my time at FCYC.
I would like to go next. One of my favorite initiatives was our Kindness Matters project that we did every year. I really loved having the post-it boards placed in all the schools where we would, write a kindness note and then take it off and then give it to somebody or perform the action that was on there. Not to mention all of the symposiums and the conferences that we attended. It was really cool being able to dress up and go out of town and learn what was going on in other cities. And also, we competed and won a couple prizes not prizes, but awards back in the day. So it was really a great place to be.
Yeah, and going off those conferences, I think one of my favorite was when we hosted one of the state youth council conferences here in Fayetteville. It was a team building leadership conference where the different youth councils across the state were able to come to Fayetteville, and Fayetteville shows out at all of those conferences. So getting to bring those people to our city was really exciting. And I've always really loved leadership and team building and helping people like pull out their best talents from one another. The youth council taught me that a lot, because even just being 1 year ahead of your classmates, like they look up to you and what you're doing, and they look to follow the lead that you set for them. So being able to lead the conference when I was a high school student, that gave all of us that were a big part of that a huge confidence going forward. That looking back now, I didn't realize that that's not a common, easy thing to get. Like being able to lead others and being able to inspire others is a hard skill to get. So being able to host that conference with my classmates from all across the city, it was incredible. And I feel like there's people I still talk to that I met at those conferences now.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you said, one thing I enjoyed from that, we had the scavenger hunt in downtown, and that was fun to me. And I, not to be biased, we was the best youth council at the time. We definitely was, but we also had it was like a natural competitiveness. Like we always just wanted to be the best with any youth, even if they won't necessarily compete. And we was like, yeah, we want to win this award, we want to win this one, we want to do this, we want to present like this. So it was very competitive on our end. we was just always strive to win, and then that also brought us together, because when everybody has the same goal, you want to work together to achieve that goal. So like he said, we have a lot of these bonds that we created that we still have even now, years later, and we talk to people that we really do cherish from these conferences and from these gatherings.
I had to mention one of my favorite things that we would do is also having themed talks. I feel like we had a lot of uncomfortable conversations that needed to be had. I remember we did a conversation on domestic violence and mental health and romantic relationships and things that the youth really needed to learn. And I feel like it was definitely needed back then and now.
Yeah, I definitely think that all of these things are incredibly important, and especially how you talked about showing up for your city. I think it's incredibly important for kids like teenagers that are in the city, they'd be like, oh, we don't have a lot of stuff that's going on, you know, in certain events. Doing a scavenger hunt, it takes people outside of their comfort zone that wouldn't normally go out and do a random scavenger hunt, you know, at Festival Park, or might not even know that Festival Park is even there in the certain events that they have and stuff. So I think it's showing up for your city and repping your city. Like, this is something important, and joining a place like Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council, I think it's a place of leadership, and, you know, having people repping this kind of city is really important. I think it's good that we have really good examples like you guys that are stepping forward and moving, you know, kind of through with all the stuff that you took from FCYC.
Most definitely. We actually just hosted a state youth council ourselves mini grant right here, and so I'm glad that you guys were really standing on representing our city back then so that we can even do it even further now. And speaking of leadership, like you spoke on very heavily, just more specifically, how did being a part of FCYC help you shape as a leader and build your confidence?
Man, I would not be where I'm at all right now if I wasn't in the youth council. I'd tell people that all the time. If I wasn't given the opportunities I was given in the youth council and able to grow the amount that I did, like, I've done things that don't even feel scary. Like, for example, back when we were in the youth council, Miss Crystal, our advisor, when we were in there, she loved for people to not know who the advisor was, because we were going up and talking to people. We were going up and doing stuff. So in college, and I went to law school as well, and in law school, it's a lot of instances where you have to stand up, you have to talk, you have to advocate for other people, but it didn't feel like anything new when I was doing it. It didn't even feel scary. It was like I've talked to leaders in other cities. I'm not afraid to speak in front of my classmates, you know?
Mm-hmm. Like you've been doing this type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Piggyback off of what he said, mentorship as well. Miss Crystal Glover, Miss Tashika, they was definitely the ones be like, nope, do it again. That was wrong, do it again. But they also gave you that room to fail. Like, and if you did fail, you weren't like chastised for it. We was like, okay, so just do it again, but next time do it better this way. So it's more like they were building that confidence, but you didn't necessarily know you was building that confidence. So now you're out there doing it, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm actually doing it now. Like, this is the thing. So it definitely helped me. And like he said, a lot of things that I'm doing now I probably wouldn't have done or even thought about if I had not been experienced to the youth council.
I feel like for me, being a part of something bigger than you is it's a what's the word? It's a lot of pressure. It makes you think differently. It makes you act differently. I know we learned, what to wear, what not to wear, but even down to like what to say in groups of people, or what time to arrive, to never be late, to always be early. Arriving early is on time. All the good stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, just for a little anecdote, like when I'm at work every day in the office, it's when I walk by someone's door, something in my head is telling me you have to go in and talk and say, hey, they saw you. You got to say, hey. And I feel like Miss Crystal and Miss Tashika are in my head, just like, you got to go in there and talk to them, say, hey, see how they're doing, check in. And that's every single day. Like just the other day, one of my coworkers was asking me, why do you talk to everybody when you go by? I'm like, why? What? And that's just like the mindset I feel like I developed when I was in high school doing the youth council.
I think FCYC definitely does help us grow our professionalism, because that's the world that we're going in. I think you mentioned talking to government officials, and that kind of leads into our next question. In what ways did FCYC better help you understand local government or issues happening in your community while you were still in high school?
I loved that we had the seat at the City Hall. Being able to sit in on those meetings and actually have a part in the conversation was very impactful. I know back then we were super close with the city council, so Mayor Colvin and everybody, we would communicate with them as well. I know, like back in the day, I think it was 2018, some friends and I, we actually hosted like a walkout, and because we had that relationship with the city council, we were able to get it approved. So little stuff like that was really important.
I agree with what she said as well, but as far as understanding local government from like a people standpoint, a lot of people just are uninformed. And so what goes along with what Dakari was saying, just being able to talk to people, that's how you build community. That's how you, if you're in a food line, you just strike up a conversation with somebody you in line with, let them know, hey, do you know what's going on with the city? Or, hey, I just seen this on my phone, look at this, and now you're having a conversation about the city. And conversations like that goes a long way. And if those people have conversations, more people going to have conversations, and then we're going to build that community of a lot of people that know what their government is and how their local government affects their daily lives. And that's something you can only be taught by actually living through it and experiencing. And that's what something FCYC put us into, experiencing that and teaching us how to communicate with other people as well on issues by local government.
I feel like for me specifically, the Youth Council takes a lot of initiatives to serve people where they're at. And I feel like that's something that really helped me understand about how local government really works. Looking at it now, a lot of people view it I feel like they view politics or government as very decisive, or that it's a power thing getting into a certain position. But the Youth Council really helped me understand that being a local leader is, like James was saying, it's about being in your community. Like when we were in the Youth Council, we got to work with a lot of the local leaders, and seeing them show up to every single thing we had going on, the ones that would show up to every single thing, it helped me really understand what the role really is. It's not to make decisions. It's supposed to be a part of the community and help push that community forward. And the only way you can do that is by meeting people where they're at, coming to their neighborhoods, their churches, community meetings. I feel like the Youth Council really helped me understand that the government it shouldn't be a decision maker. It's supposed to be a part of the community, and it's a drive that goes forward from everyone contributing to the different areas or aspects that they can. And I feel like that was something that really helped me understand that. Because the Youth Council does a lot of things, and it takes a lot of different people from different backgrounds to understand how they can all work together to reach common goals.
Yeah, I really actually appreciate you guys saying that, because recently when Mayor Mitch Colvin was appointed again, us as FCYC, we showed up because we were part of like the local government and everything, and just being in that room with all of these government officials and them talking about the policies and everything, it's just, I didn't even have to go up and physically speak to them just to see the energy that everyone had in that room, and just like these people really make our city the great city that it is. So just being in that kind of room, and like I wouldn't have been in that room otherwise if I didn't know about FCYC and I didn't join FCYC. Even as a person in the marketing committee, being in that room and seeing all these people and seeing what they can do and the change that they have made for this city is important, and it can lead to different types of careers and open career opportunities and networking, especially people who want to go into criminal things and law things, like talking to these people and being in the same room when normally you might not have been in that room if you didn't join FCYC. So it opened your opportunities, I believe. So speaking of that, FCYC's mission is to serve as a voice basically for the youth, and is a youth-led organization while acting as a cross-generational link in the community. So from your guys' perspective, what does being a cross-generational link really mean? And, how do you guys experience that during your time at FCYC?
I think one of the biggest things for me is understanding that generally I feel like people think of things operating from like a top-down level, that the older people make the decisions, the younger people pretty much follow those decisions, and it's their turn when they move up. But like the Youth Council let me really understand that that's not quite how it works. You reach the different generations when you go out there and meet them, So when the youth are coming to city council meetings and they're hosting events and they're pretty much putting on for their city, I feel like that's how you serve as that cross-generational link. You're bringing people together from different perspectives, basically by showing them that there is better that can always be done, and that the young people in Fayetteville are the ones that will be pushing that initiatives or pushing some of those initiatives.
I agree. You pretty much said everything, but I'm going to piggyback and I'm going to say now FCYC has shown me how much it really does mean to have that bridge between the old and the young. Because even now, as AI is becoming more prevalent, how many of y'all parents know how to use AI?
No, they don't even know.
Exactly. So as it's becoming more prevalent in society, there's going to be a time where the youth is going to be needed more than ever. And the youth is going to be needed to teach the old how these systems work, how these new things work, just so we can work together and move the city forward and make the city better.
I feel like the older generation learns a lot from us. I like what James said, and we learn from them. However, when it comes to the future, like, it's our generation and y'all's generation that's going to actually be the ones that are going to be in office and is going to be making those big decisions. So it's really important to have that cross-generational link, being the direct liaison between the youth of the city and the city council.
And then it's a trade-off as well, because not only do we teach them things, but, they're older, more experienced, they're wiser, so they could instill some guidance into us as, I guess, any relevant topic that we may have that they could provide perspective on.
If you participated in any national conferences or statewide events with the Fayetteville-Cumberland Youth Council, what was that experience like, and what impact did it have on you personally or as a leader?
Yeah, we had the National League of Cities conference, and that was the one where all the officials met in DC, and they talked about different policies. They had workshops on lobbying and things like that. So that definitely broadens your knowledge on what government is, because I didn't even know there was like a nationwide link up of city officials. So even that was just mind blowing. But me personally, my preference was SYC. I like seeing the other youth councils, knowing that there are other people my age actually in local city government. And then the conversations are different when you have them with people your age versus older people.
I believe I participated in SYC as well, and maybe NLC. Really just like what we spoke on earlier, the confidence piece, like being able to walk in any room and introduce yourself to other people, and a lot of skills that a lot of people don't really learn until they're older. We were developed during that time. Also, like being able to present our programs. I know we produced I know the Kindness Matters initiative, we got awarded at one of those conferences, so it was really just cool being able to present the whole thing. I remember we had like a skit that we put on to present it, and it was really cool, and just being able to do that in front of all these different schools and students, and it was really a privilege for sure.
I believe I was able to participate in a few of the state and a few of the national conferences. So I got to see the differences in those and meeting the different people in those different places. I think the biggest part of the experience that sticks out for me is just honestly, I'm big on diversity of background and diversity of ideas. So the most exciting thing to me was going to these different cities or different states and just seeing what things they were doing that was working. And I was always so excited to just anything that they did that was working for their community really well and it was reaching people and helping people, I just wanted to do all of it. Every single time we came back from conferences, I had a list of ideas that I wanted to do here. And I feel like that changed something to me. I feel like when I was in high school, because I feel like I always approach things from, well, we don't need to do things the way we've always done them. We need to do things in a way that works, and that takes trying new things, learning from different people. Even Fayetteville's I would say, a pretty big city, but you can learn a lot from how a smaller city does things or from how a larger city does things. Just whatever works somewhere else might work where you're at, and I feel like that stuck out to me a lot, because I feel like I do not approach any issue I have now in just the straightforward way. I'm always thinking of, well, how would this work, or how might this work for these different groups of people? So I feel like that's something that really stuck out for me from those conferences. It's just getting to learn about different geographical backgrounds or nationality backgrounds of people from all these different places.
That's great. I really like what you said, Harmony, how you were talking about how you presented the Kindness Matters board and how you guys were really proud of that. I think that's really important, especially in high schoolers, being proud of something that you made with you and your friends at FCYC. I think that's really important, especially to carry on into your like adult life, being proud of things that you created with your own mind and your own creative ideas. And especially what you were saying about going to the different cities and different councils and stuff. That's how I felt when we did the mini grant conference. When I was reading off the things and these ideas that these nonprofits has, I was like, I kind of want to do this. Like, what about this? Or what about what they had in Raleigh or in Charlotte? And I'm like, what if we had this here at Fayetteville? Like, doing that and just getting exposed to kind of different things that other cities do and wanting to bring that back home, I think is really important. And I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Being a part of the NLC conference was truly a huge privilege. We could, as teenagers, sit in on meetings that only really adults were in besides us, and we were hearing what they were talking about as mayors and city council members. But as youth, we can, from the ground up, implement that. So that was really great at NLC to hear those diverse ideas that we wouldn't hear otherwise. This next question, it might have a kind of obvious person or peoples, but I'm going to ask anyway. Were there any relationships, mentors, or opportunities that came out of FCYC that stayed with you after graduation?
Yeah, I mean, I keep in contact with Harmony and Dakari. But yeah, mentors, Miss Tashika, she know I just come in the office whenever. Wherever she in the office, I might pop up, say what's up. So it's just always having that sense of home with FCYC. Like, even though you leave, you're not gone. So just always having that home to come back to, and the people there. So the memories that you have, and then even the wall with all the pictures, I still see my face on the wall. So it still has that sense of homeness. So that's something I cherish. Along with, I think I still talk to a majority of the people I was in the youth council with since graduation. So yeah, those bonds last forever.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you. I feel like James was saying, we've created a family. I feel like when you do the youth council, I hadn't been in Fayetteville for a couple years while I was in school out of town. I came back, saw someone from the youth council that I haven't spoken to since pretty much then, and we got lunch the next week and caught up. It feels like distant family you see, or close family you see that you haven't seen in a while. And anyone I've seen from the youth council, I've seen, funny enough, 3 people from the youth council I haven't seen in years in the last few weeks. And we got out, ran up, hugged each other. I stopped on Hay Street and ran out of my car to go hug someone I saw from the youth council. So I feel like James was saying, I feel like it's like you're picking family. Like, I know some people have really big families, some have small, but I feel like when you join the youth council, you're like picking family to add in. And I think the conferences, just speaking on any opportunities that came out of, I think each one of those conferences that you're able to go to contributes to your growth as an individual and as a leader. And I feel like you take parts of those conferences with you when you leave.
It's really crazy seeing all of us grown up, and some of us have families and all of that. So it's definitely good to keep in touch with one another. And I'm thankful for my FCYC family.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys sharing these kind of connections, and I do personally feel like it's a family. You know, I feel like, especially with my my chair of the marketing team, Sterling, like, normally in school we wouldn't be in the same kind of classes because our majors are different and everything, but now that we're both kind of in FCYC, and after I joined, I think we've gotten, you know, a little bit closer, and we're talking about like marketing strategies and things we should do, and like ideas that I come up with, and we bounce off of each other and things. So I think like creating those type of bonds can really help you out, especially like networking and stuff. You never know, like, maybe they're gonna be in the same field that you're in, and they might help you out, and you might help them out. Like, creating these family bonds, especially when some of these people that are in high school, they might not have a lot of family members, they may not have friends in high school and stuff, and going to FCYC is where they find their friends. So I think experiencing that in the guys, the fact that you guys are carrying that on into your adult life, I think is really important.
You spend a good amount of time together.
Yeah, a lot of
amount
hours.
of time together. When I was in the youth council, I know it was me, my best friend Nicole, and I think 2 other people. Will be in the office till like 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. My mom would be like, "There's no way you at that office." I'm like,
Yeah.
"I promise you, I'm at the FCYC office." You can text Miss Crystal, you can text Miss Ashika, I'm at the office. But yeah, just doing work, planning, bouncing ideas off of each other. So yeah, you spend a good amount of time together. So naturally, you just build those bonds, those connections.
Yeah, it's really showing your dedication. It creates dedication when you're in high school too. And just kind of speaking of that, looking back now, what do you think FCYC offered you that you wouldn't have normally gotten in a regular classroom or joining a regular club in high school?
FCYC offered me a chance, really. I tried to go for SGA in high school, and I was a leader in different clubs, but it was a different level of leadership being at FCYC, and really just being in that diverse group was completely something that I wouldn't have received if I didn't do it.
I think I've done a lot of work with young people since I left high school, and I try to do so as much as I can. I've done mediations in high schools with high school students, and I've got to do a lot of stuff with the criminal aspect of them as well. And I feel like the thing that makes the biggest difference for a lot of young people is access and opportunity. And if you don't have family that can give you those access opportunities, or you don't have places that you can find those access of opportunities, you're going to be behind other people. And I feel like the youth council, instead of leveling the playing field, it like pushes you ahead. Like, you are like thrown ahead in how much access and opportunities you're able to go after if you want to. And I feel like that's the biggest thing. I feel like if you're trying to turn yourself into a certain person at a young age, it's hard because where can you go? A lot of people can't drive, they don't have money. So how are you able to build up those skills or get those things, even just things on a resume or things that can get you into schools or get you into certain opportunities after school? How can you find those? And I feel like the youth council gives you all of that. I feel like it's different than the high school clubs. I'm not sure exactly why, but I feel like it's a big difference in where you're able to go with the things you're offered to do in the youth council.
Yeah, I think the difference is it helps you build community, and that's something that they don't teach you in high school. You know, you learn like what local government is, you learn what national government is, but very rarely do you get to experience it. What does lobbying look like? What does knocking on doors and be like, hey, do you know about this? What does, talking to your city officials trying to get change in your own neighborhood? What does that look like? How do you do that? What are the steps to do that? That's something that you just don't learn in school, and something that you very rarely hear about. And that's what it means to me. Like, just getting out there, building community, and taking that wherever you go.
Well, you guys have already convinced me to join again, but finally, what would you say to a young person who's thinking about joining FCYC but isn't sure if it's worth the commitment?
Do it 100%. Go all in. Try out for different roles, and if you fail, keep trying.
I'll say it's nothing to be scared of. You're not getting graded for it. You're not getting a pass, fail. You ain't gonna get no consequences if you don't do something, if you don't like something. So it's something to try out and at least see if you like it, or see if it's a fit for you. So definitely try it, if anything.
Yeah, I think they should join. Like I was saying earlier, an opportunity is everything. So if you're not sure about joining, I always think of this. This is how I think about everything in life. Get what you can get out of it. Like, if you don't like going to school, get what you can get out of going to school every day, though. If you're unsure about joining the youth council, I think you should join and see what you can get out of it. Like, what can you improve on leadership-wise or marketing-wise or even social media work-wise? There's a lot of different roles. So if there's anything that you feel like you want to try and get some more out of, I think the youth council is something you can get a lot out of that you can take with you.
Yeah, you definitely going to leave with something. You're not going to leave empty-handed, for sure.
And you're going to get that stole when it's time. For the court, I mean.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like, once you show up, even if you don't have to necessarily force the dedication, but a lot of high school students, they don't know what their passion is, but they know they have a fire inside of them. They just don't know where to put that into. And I think going to FCYC, you can kind of see a couple of different things, and you can kind of know what's going on, and it kind of forces you to just step outside your comfort zone, and then you can find a place to kind of hone in on your passion.
I most definitely agree. Sadly, we do have to close out. To our FCYC alumni, thank you. Thank you for being the trailblazers, the voices that spoke up, and the leaders who helped shape what FCYC is today. Your impact didn't end when you graduated. It continues through the paths you're walking, the communities you're serving, and the example you're setting. FCYC will always be your home. Whether you're mentoring, speaking life into the next generation, showing up at events, or simply cheering us on from afar, your legacy matters, and it's still being felt. To our current and future members, you're standing on the shoulders of leaders who once sat where you are now. And one day your story will inspire the next voice to step forward. This is Mic'd Up for FCYC, where youth voices lead, alumni legacies live on, and leadership never stops.